You know those build ideas you get in your head where in order to start the build idea, you need to wreck a perfectly good thing in which there's no going back from until you either succeed or fail at the build? Well, today we're going to start one of those projects. This video is sponsored by Squarespace, my go-to tool for building websites. So here's the plan. I'm in the process of converting this 20-foot shipping container into a modular, off-the-grid capable makerspace shop sort of a thing. Hey look, I did a thing. There's a hole. Once it's finished, we will pick the thing up with a crane and drop it off on a future piece of property that we have yet to track down. But that's jumping ahead of ourselves a step or two or three. It goes without saying that having a larger shop would be great, but let me assure you, after doing many build projects and driveways, thanks again Dwayne for letting us take over the driveway for our van conversion, I'm really excited to finally have a space of my own that I can customize. That's a big reason why we decided to rent from our current landlords, because they let me drop this container off beside our rental suite. And now, when we're home from extended travel in our camper van, we can power the whole container for days on end with our battery bank, recharging when possible from the solar on the roof of our van. In this episode, we're going to tackle some massive changes to the function and shape of the container. I'd love to hear your ideas down in the comments of what modifications you think we should do next. I'm still really new to metalworking, so what I have planned is really going to stretch my skill set.
What have I done?
If you enjoy videos like this, give a little tap on that like button to help YouTube know that this video is worth spreading around. And make sure that you're subscribed, because one of our big projects coming up is a full-sized electric motorcycle build that I'm very excited for. So again, if you aren't subscribed, you definitely don't want to miss that.
Hello, friend. I'm not quite sure what I've got myself into with this one. I've cut a massive hole in the container, as you can see. And I didn't really want half this video to be me cutting a container, so with the magic of editing, that went a lot quicker than it took in real life. And at this point in the video, you may be asking, how is this going to make your container better? And let me fill you in on the idea here. When the sun comes out, it turns into an oven. And I knew this was gonna happen. It's a big metal box. And the cost of insulating it and framing the walls and kind of doing the inside nicely is a lot of money. And I want to do that eventually, but I've got to be strategic here with how I do my upgrades, because we're trying to stay on budget here. So the big plan is to take the sheet of metal we've cut off, basically where it is, put hinges on the top, make an opening overhang thing, and create lots more angles to film from, create lots of airflow, create coverage from rain, and hopefully by the time this is all done, I don't hate the fact that I just cut a big hole in the side of my container. The amount of metal shavings that are everywhere right now, it's a lot of metal shavings. I am 7 grinder discs in. Yeah, so this grind edge is what took forever to get it flat because the rail is going to come right up in here. The game plan for today is start to get all this stuff assembled, and there's unequivocally rain on the forecast tomorrow, 80% chance. That's slick. I know a lot of friends of the channel have their own projects that they're working on, things they're building, side hustles they're starting on. Maybe they've got this massive project they're about to launch. And if you're in that position and you don't have a website yet, you really got to get one together. And this is tough, right? Because a lot of us, the reason why we get into freelance or building things is because we're excited about the actual project. We're not excited about spending time trying to build a website. But the great thing is that Squarespace exists and they make it really simple to get a beautiful website up and running in mere moments. And what I really appreciate about Squarespace is that they had you, the maker, in mind as they were building out their service. So it's incredibly easy to use. They've got a drag and drop website builder with all the tools you could possibly need for your website, from running your online store to scheduling to getting new blog posts up to hosting your videos and photos. Everything is just a click away, incredibly simple to use. And their award-winning 24/7 support is right there alongside you to help you if you have any issues. I highly recommend going over and starting a trial so you can actually see what it's like to fiddle with Squarespace and see what your website might look like. And when you're ready to commit, make sure that you use my code for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Oh, this is sick. This door is gonna get away an insane amount. Like, just this beam right here is like, whoa. essentially 80% of the way there structure-wise, which feels really good. We've basically got to, like, just picture this. Look at how much shaded cover area we're gonna have when this goes up. Oh man. Starting to feel raindrops. Clouds are moving in. Thankfully, it hasn't started pouring at any point here. I'm gonna quickly tack in the frame, like get the skin in there, and then hopefully I'll be able to get the door onto the container tonight. That's the plan as it stands. Now, I'm sure there's been many of you out there that have been wondering, oh, how is he gonna lift the door? How is he gonna make it not wildly cumbersome? And this was, I had planned to do this in 2 stages. So I was planning on using some basic rope to lift the container door open for the first stage of its life, because gas struts are expensive. And I just thought that would be a really good starting point. Let me open the door and we'll see if you can tell what the problem is. Problem yet? So here's the plan. We're gonna hop, skip, and a jump over my temporary solution and go straight to the gas strut route. It's actually not a waste that I built this whole structure to lift the door open, because in order to install heavy lift gas struts, you have to have the door in the open position. This here is my pair of gas struts. I am very surprised that this tiny little rod hypothetically has 500 pounds of push. But here they are. My brain can't compute how this will work. They are roughly over 50% of the door height, and we're going to be mounting them 20% of the height down, and then that will basically let us know where our lower bracket's going to go. What?
Thankfully, this doesn't happen in every build project, but that sinking in your stomach feeling when stuff goes wrong that you've spent money on and it's breaking in front of you, and it's admittedly it might be a little heightened in this project because my son might be born any day here, and so there's this sense of urgency of wanting to just wrap it up, and the thought of just like taking extra days longer to finish it to get it to a working state is just annoying to me. The truth is I was having so much fun on this project so far, every aspect of it, and then so when you just run up into just what feels like a catastrophic failure, and then all your ideas of how this is going to work, and you've already tried to come up with solutions, when they all just like kind of fall apart, it makes you just feel not very, it's not my favorite. I don't enjoy it very much. So the reason why my strut bent instead of closing like it was supposed to, as you can guess, came down simply to installer error. When I welded on the brackets for the strut eyelets to mount to, the heat of the weld when cooling pulled the top bracket to one side slightly, which across the distance so far from each other made a meaningful impact to how squared the strut eyelets were to each other. And because the struts came with so much pre-charged gas and the mounts weren't square to each other, it behaved as if it was locked out and would rather bend sideways and buckle instead of close as it was supposed to. Thankfully, the fix was pretty straightforward. The first thing that I did, because I was trying to problem solve as I was figuring out what actually went wrong, was remove some of the pre-charged gas from my second strut. My guess is about 30 or 40%. I then reinstalled that gas strut on the same mounts and it started working. This was such a relief. But this is when I actually clued in that the brackets were slightly bent because you could see that it wasn't quite happy. So what I did was straighten the mounts out, add better gussets to keep it from twisting and turning so that way there's no issues with this in the future.
Oh man!
That's how it locks in place like
Okay, so this is a shot that I'm gonna do a lot of, and I love that it's a dark background. Yeah, I care about video stuff, and if I turn on a little supplementary light, you know, it kind of, it's like we've got a little Maker YouTube studio thing here. feels amazing to have this all come together, especially having it exceed what my original intent was. And I was gonna use this hokey solution with some ropes, and to have the gas struts, to make that leap, to have it not go how I planned, to figure it out and to solve it. That's what makes making your own stuff so much fun. Like, the amount of pride that I feel having accomplished this is certainly a lot more than it ever would be if I had bought the container like this. And that maker's touch is what is so fascinating to me as someone who likes making things. It's the hand-built, personalized, unique way that we all go about bringing ideas to life is so cool. There's some stuff that we've got to finish, things like painting the container. I was trying to decide if I'm just gonna paint the perimeter of the metal or repaint the whole side of the container. And then another thing I've got to do is the top area here above the door. There's an opening of about that much, and I'm gonna use some of the metal that we cut off from the door panel. I'm gonna cut that into strips and make basically a very simple lip overhang, so that way water isn't coming down through this opening here into the container when we have it open. Okay, we've got some scorching hot midday sun, a couple clouds. Let's go inside the container, see how hot it is. Okay, 5 minutes later, it's dropped almost 10 degrees at the display. Look at those temperatures drop. How cool is that? I'm quite pleased with how this latch system came together. It's one of the projects that I did quickly without fully explaining what I was doing. Originally, I thought I'd do like some sort of bracket up at the top of the door that would latch, but in the closed position, the way the geometry of that works, it would hit the roof, and I was having a hard time thinking it through. And then my friend Luke was over, and he's like, oh, what if you just like had a piece of tubing inside of another piece of tubing and like notched it somehow? And then I knew I had this spring-loaded T-handle, trying to figure out how to have a pole go to the corner of the door, when it clicked of like, oh, we could just run it alongside another one of the gas struts, use the bracket tree, just extend the brackets, and it's basically all integrated. So we had this piece of pipe, and it just barely could fit into the start of this outer sleeve. So I had to sand down the whole pipe, and to do that, I welded an old bolt inside of it, put it in the drill, use that kind of like as a handheld lathe system over top of a spinning angle grinder. It actually worked okay because we were able to take off enough dimension on the inner rod so that way it slides smoothly inside of the housing, and then just welding on the T-handle latch. Yeah, who knows how long away it's going to be until a crane can come pick this thing up and drop it on a piece of property and we can start on that process. I don't know, but I do know that I'm excited, and I hope you're along for the ride. Thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, and remember, life's better when you make stuff. Peace. Picture this, but an electric motorcycle, like a bigger electric motorcycle. This, but bigger.